Hello, good evening, and welcome to Monkeys with Fire. How's everyone tonight? Hope you're all well. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. Do let us know in the chat what you've been up to. You played any games over the weekend? We'd love to know. So then, it's Tuesday night, and we do have another deep dive into a brand new game system. We are going to be taking a look at Dreams and Machines from MODIPHIUS Entertainment. This is their brand new release for the end of 2023, an original concept of game. So it's very refreshing to dive on in and take a look at something brand new, not knowing quite what we are going to face. So that's tonight's game. As with all of these streams, role-playing games, I played RPGs back in my college days. It has been many years since I have played an RPG, but I've spent the last, 12 months or so now re-exploring, rediscovering all of the many RPGs that are out there. They have changed quite considerably since I last played, and so I'm looking from it from a very beginner's point of view. If you do have any questions, then please jot them into the chat or leave a comment on the video, and I'll do my best to answer it for you. So then, Mystical, are you all set and ready? Yes, all right, let's bring you on in then. Good evening.
Hello. Hello.
Oh my goodness, I was starting to have a heart attack.
I was so busy.
Well, I guess it is that time of year, isn't it? It's everyone starts getting a bit hectic now. So,
yeah, and my mother-in-law signed us up for a craft market last week, like middle of last week, for this weekend. So yay!
Oh well, that's fantastic. That's going to be a lot of good fun.
Yeah.
Right. So then, did you manage to take a look at Dreams and Machines?
I did.
And let's just go for a top line. Initial impressions. What did you think?
This is my favorite one so far that we have looked at, besides Vaesen.
Is it? Okay.
It is. And I love not just like the gameplay and the world, but I love the aesthetic of the book.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's cool.
I was gushing over it.
Right. Okay. That's very cool. Yes, my sort of initial top line on this, I thought it was very refreshingly different and unique, even though maybe it's a little familiar in some places, but I didn't mind. I enjoyed the presentation. I enjoyed the ease of the reading through the books, and you'll see the variety of different things I have in front of me, and ultimately wanted to learn more. So let's dive on. Let's see what we have in front of us. So, of course, my thanks to MODIPHIUS Entertainment for providing the channel with this huge selection of Dreams and Machines books and starter sets. We have a Games Master's Toolkit. We also have a set of dice. And we have this, which is, I believe, is a free magazine that they might have been giving out at conventions, an RPG Quick Start, to which has so much great information in it. This was my starting place. Just flicking through this instantly got me into the world and caught up with the rules. But what we'll do is we'll work our through. We'll go through our process here. We'll look at the starter set to give everybody an idea of what's available there. We will then take a look through the player's guide and the Games Master's guide, and we'll take a look at the Games Master's Toolkit and talk a little bit about what we saw as we were reading through the books. So let's take this out of the way. I will point out this box. It's a heavy duty box. It's really, really well made. I know that might sound a bit weird, but this is a box that's made to last. It's good, solid card on this. It's really nice. So what do we have? We have the tutorial booklet. We're going to put these to one side. We have the adventure booklet. And then we have a rules reference. We have 2 punch boards of counters. We'll obviously learn about those as we play. We have a map, but as you can see, it is minus any wonderful graphics at the moment. It's very, very bland as a sort of computer display, isn't it? But what I understand is that there are decks of cards to which the cards actually go into these sections to give you a full colour image. So that's a nice idea. We have a selection of envelopes for the various players, and this is so that as your actual character you can tuck away all the cards that you use to create your character, and they're all handy in these envelopes. So it's a nice way of storing everything, which is very thoughtful. Because of course the starter set does have a scenario within it, we're not going to focus in too much on these handouts, but we do have a selection of handouts, and we'll just take a quick look. So, I mean, these are all very nice graphics, which brings you into the world of dreams and machines. So, got a good selection of handouts there. There is a set of D20 dice, because of course this uses the 2D20 system. And I really like this sort of fuchsia colour. They definitely pop. And we do have the dreams and machines sort of symbol there as the 1 on the dice. Of course, you're familiar with the D20 system, so it's a roll low system, isn't it? 1 is good, yes. 20 is bad. And then we do have quite a hefty couple of decks of cards. Again, we won't go into any detail on those because we don't want to ruin anything. So I'm just going to put this to one side. The rules reference, as you might imagine, this is in alphabetical order, and it's so that you can just quickly check a rule. Simple as that. I know that we were looking through the actual player guide and the Games Master's guide. What did you think of actually how the rules are laid out? Did you have did anything sort of jump out at you?
Not necessarily jumped out at me, but it made me think back to another game we played, and I was like, I cannot for the life of me remember which game it is that this game is reminding me of, like, for setup and that. I was like, I can't. What is it? And I'm still sitting here like, oh my gosh, it's on the tip of my tongue, and I cannot think of the name.
I know which game.
Don't leave me hanging, monkey. What is it?
Because I'll do it when we go through the books. But yes, there was a sort of familiar feeling right, as I was looking through. And that's not a negative by any means. Granted, we have looked through so many games this year, but we are going to start sort of feeling that similarities as we sort of venture through, which is absolutely fine. And as I say, there are some points in the game where I'm thinking, yeah, I can kind of see that thematic hook somewhere else in movies and video games and books. It's just done in a different way, so it's not a bad thing. It's but it's nice. It brought a smile to my face. This is something that definitely made me smile and made me think of the games that I played when I was younger. That this is actually the adventure booklet, and again, we're not going to focus too heavily in it, not to want to ruin the game for prospective players. But what I like is these call-outs for the Games Master, so that it actually identifies this is a section of text that you read out to your players. And this was something that I used to see in a lot of the games back then that I see less of now. So I really like this because this makes it so much easier for especially new games masters who are not quite, not got the same level of confidence as a more intermediate or experienced games master might have. And so it's good to be able to follow through this and have these little sections to read out, and it gives you that bit of confidence that you're describing things correctly to your players. So I really, really appreciated that. But we'll tuck that away, because we have then the tutorial booklet. Now, of course, as I've become accustomed with MODIPHIUS Games, we got this amazing artwork. All original artwork, really does help set the scene. And I really like the beginning of this starter set where it's these huge double-page spreads.
So gorgeous. I really like that this book is set up like a journal.
Okay. So then, so it does go into more detail in the actual player's guide, because you get an understanding of whose journal it is, don't you?
Yes.
Did you sort of catch that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So again, we've got this great artwork, but you could start seeing all the little notes and the little scribbles that are in the sort of the margins here for the author of this journal. And again, the starter set, this has a mini sort of tutorial here, and you can go through it. It brings all the call outs for the GM to read out, which is really good. All right. So again, we're not going to go into too much detail on that. That is in effect the starter set. Let's put that to one side. And let's take a look then. We'll start with the player's guide, because I think that's probably the best place to start, isn't it? So what do we have? We have the introduction, we have history and lore, core rules, conflict, characters, equipment, and then glyphs and weaving. And so here we go. It starts off straight away. As you say, it's a little journal. There's little this plant. What do you call it? Dry plant pressing or something like that, isn't it?
Yeah. Flower pressings.
That's it. Yeah. We got these little. Even though we might have the official chapter, we have little comments and little renamings of the chapters. And so this is Carrie, and she is effectively the owner of this book, to which she has been putting her scribbles in, and it sets the scene a little bit about this mech that she befriends and wakes up, and whilst others were afraid of him, she wasn't. And so we start to learn all about Carrie's world. But we are going to start off, of course, for anybody new to role-playing, goes into a little bit of detail there. Tells us a little bit about the 2D20 system. Now, the one thing that I sort of took away from this as I was reading through is this game is, it feels to me, is aimed at newer role players. What do you think?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, I felt like that too.
It
went into a lot more detail than it necessarily had to if you knew about the system already.
That's an interesting point, because we have looked at quite a few 2D20 system-based games, and this is probably the easiest, the most user-friendly sort of. It's like an introductory version of the rule set. Do you agree?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right, so I'm glad that I was right in where I sort of
you were,
felt that it was coming from. Yeah, okay, that's cool. So we have a reasonable amount of info here that sets the scene, because again, this is a brand new setting. We have people that are on a planet far from Earth called Evera Prime, and I'm not going to go into too much detail on this, because that's part of the, I suppose, part of the journey and part of the mystique of this new setting. But ultimately, it is human colonists who have colonized a brand new, lush, beautiful planet. They do have incredibly advanced technology, and I guess, it's what happens when you have advanced technology, isn't it? They have a habit of taking over and slaughtering their human masters. So a catastrophe, an apocalypse occurs in Eden. The humans manage to put the rogue AI to sleep, but in doing so, they pretty much go back to near enough a Stone Age existence, where they are trying to rebuild their societies in amongst the ruins of their old civilization, the old buildings. There is glimmers of technology, but the average person is not too sure on its usage. And dotted around the world are these huge mechs. Well, mechs of a variety of different sizes, because of course they did a lot of the work for the humans. Now they are all sleeping, but periodically these mechs wake up, and whenever they do, they cause havoc. I think that's... What was it? Yes. Yes. So I think that's possibly a reasonably spoiler-free overview of the setting. To which there are a number of sort of touch points there that players may go, hang on a second, I kind of have an idea of that because I kind of saw that in a movie, or... and that's the thing, whenever I look at something that I'm not sure of, I try to think of films that have maybe used it, because it helps me in my imagination. I can kind of visualize by sort of seeing those film elements. So there are, I think it was the original, well, I can't say the original, but one of the earlier versions of the Lost in Space movie. There's elements of that.
Yes.
There's possibly an element of Terminator, which might be
just slightly.
Just slightly, might be a big one there. There's an element of Horizon Zero Dawn, maybe. So yeah. So
a little bit.
So if you're familiar with these things, then it helps you get into the world very easily. They're nice sort of touch points that you can relate to. But it is original and it is definitely worth your read. Good evening, Lorna. Dune. Oh, I'm not sure. Not sure about Dune.
I definitely felt like Colossal was. I could see that in there too.
Yes, with the big lumbering mechs, couldn't you? And I suppose the kind of medieval-ish setting a little bit, wasn't it? Even though this is possibly even earlier than medieval, more, as I say, sort of Stone Age, or it feels like so. Dune was Terminator before Terminator. That actually is very true, isn't it? Yes. But there you go. MODIPHIUS do have some experience with Dune because, of course, they do have the Dune role-playing game. So we have these wonderful idyllic cities when humanity first colonized Avera. Is it Avera Prime? I'm going to go with that. But we do get lots of information about what has happened to the planet, and now, hundreds of years later, the world, the vegetation has taken over. We still have elements of ruins of what was once a great civilization and pockets of humanity that are trying to survive in what is still Eden. It's a very lush world, or it seems to be, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'm going to sort of skip past a little bit because, again, I'm trying not to ruin too much about the setting because I think that's what people are going to enjoy. But again, I love all these little call-outs, these little bits of tape that are stuck down with little notes in. So it's talking...
It's so good. That was my favorite part of this, of looking through this, was just like taking the time and like reading those notes and stuff.
Yeah. It talks about the different factions. Now, this is what I found really fun because, again, with typical games out there, your factions, elves, dwarves, men. Yeah, I mean, we've seen them numerous times. Everybody on this world are human, but they have split off into different sort of camps. And each of these camps, and I was finding it, I always try to sort of work out, okay, what is this equivalent of in another system, maybe? This was actually pretty difficult. These felt quite unique. What did you think about the different factions?
So when I was reading it, what came to mind for me, and I think it's because I've read the book, I've seen the movies, I've seen the TV show, it felt very much like the Golden Compass or his Dark Materials.
Oh, okay.
Where they've kind of split off into their own little like factions almost, right?
Yeah.
And that's all I couldn't get that out of my head as I was reading it. And that's also what the feel of the world is like to me as well.
See, now there you go. I actually didn't think of that. And yeah, now that you've said it, no, yes. Yeah, no, that's cool. Again, it's good that if you can have little hooks that bring you on in. So these are the Everans, and these are kind of, well, actually, see, I don't even need to. Am I looking in the right one? There is, I think it might be in the other book, it actually tells you about each of the factions and gives you a brief summary of what each one is, which is helpful for the games master. I mean, you know what? I'm going to go to the other book just to find it because I thought that was actually very handy. Here we go. Here we go. All right. So we're jumping books here, people. Okay. So this is in the Games Master's book. So we've got the factions of Everard Prime. We have the Everans. Gives us details on them. And then I thought this section here through others' eyes, and each of the factions has this little section so that you get an understanding of how the other factions view them, but by looking through somebody else's eyes you're able to sort of get an idea of what they're like as people. So the Everans are usually viewed fairly positively by those around them. They are friendly, welcoming folks who work well with others. So the Everans themselves take calmly accepting the slings and arrows of the world. After all, if they'll trade you something that will make your life easier, why care too much about what names they call you, right? So these are, in essence, I guess they're sort of the general folk, aren't they? I think these ones don't sort of push too far into a particular direction. So again, I found this sort of interesting. Let me put that just there. I'm going to be jumping from book to book, I can tell. So, resourceful people, interested in building comfortable and happy lives themselves and their towns and villages. So, every character has likely grown up in a village or town, and each community has unique features based on what was salvageable in their area. And Everans embrace anything that they can make work, so their homes and towns are full of ingenious mix of old technology, rudimentary items and recycled objects. So, to give them a little bit of context, let's take a look then at one of the other factions. These are the archivists. The archivists were formed in the fires of the Builder War. So these are they've evolved into cliques based on specific philosophies, but they all hold to one overriding principle, that knowledge is central to the future, that they must learn and in so doing help others, but how they go about fulfilling this is the subject of much heated debate. So the archivists, they're kind of the ones who are still interested in technology, aren't they? And trying to sort of use it, whereas a lot of the other factions have kind of turned their backs on technology because, of course, that's what caused the Great Apocalypse. So we have general folk, we've got folk who are interested in technology. We then have the spears, and I think the spears were probably the easiest of all these factions to basically determine kind of their character set, yeah? Which, of course, these are the warriors. These are the ones that do not trust mechs or technology in any shape or form, and pretty much are the ones that when mechs do rise up, they are in there to put them down. Now, dreamers. I'm just going to find where's the section on it, because again, everything is quite unique. And so where's the section? So, dreamers. So it's on ever science and technology were twin gods that the populace depended upon for everything: luxury, leisure, and essentials. Their advancements went far beyond those of their spacefaring ancestors. Everyone's scientists, engineers, and inventors wanted more. They pushed each other to reach over greater heights. So the dreamers are essentially the scientists, aren't they? The ones that are left that obviously want to take and use technology for the advancement. So even though they know that the technology was the downfall of their civilization, these are the ones that are still trying to push forward.
They're hopeful.
Oh, yeah, well, and that's something, isn't it? Because everybody does seem hopeful about wanting to rebuild society, but they're just coming at it from different perspectives.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
The dreamers are the ones who kind of want it to work both ways, like have it work like it did, whereas other factions are like, it's us or them. There's no in between.
Yeah. And then finally we got rivers. And the way that I sort of looked at the rivers, they are, I suppose, well, they're the traders, the barterers, the merchants, possibly slightly nomadic, taking...
They're your gypsies.
Yeah, in essence. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's probably the best way to sort of say them. So they're the ones who get items, fashion them up, polishing them up, and then sell them. Always looking for a good business opportunity. So yes, that's definitely that sort of grouping.
His dark material.
Oh, I think you've just gone.
Am I back?
You're back now. Yes, it stopped for a second there.
Yeah, it was the rivers that really made me go, oh, I'm getting his dark material vibe just so hard.
In fact, yes. Again, now you've said it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I can absolutely see that. That really does now help visualize that group of people. Yes.
Yeah.
The final group, which I don't believe you can play as a character, the thralls. Little is known about them. Most guess that they are descended from those who fled underground during the war to escape the machines. And now they are reappearing in isolated instances, but you should absolutely... They are not ones to be trifled with, and ideally you do not want to meet them. So they are a bit of a mysterious faction. Again, we won't go into too much detail on that. We have the builders and the waker. Oh, sorry, the builder and the wakers. Get that right. And we have the Dark City. People whisper the name Dark City in the flickering glow of a crackling campfire, or on a gloomy winter's night over a steaming spiced rum, but no one really knows what it is. It is a mysterious place, like the lost cities of Earth's mythology, interesting to talk about and exciting to imagine, but that is about all to the everyday Evram. So, yes, something of mystery, and again, we won't go into too much detail. So we have section, of course, on our core rules, and again, if players who are familiar with the 2d20 system will instantly be able to go through this quite quickly. So let's just go. Here we go. We have skill tests. First, tell the GM what you want to accomplish. GM will consider the situation and decide if you can get what you want easily, or if your goal is impossible to achieve, or if you need a skill test. In the latter case, GM will tell you 3 things: which attribute to use, which skill you'll use, and what the difficulty is. So next you have your 2d20s. You roll your dice. Now let's just get this right. Roll those dice that roll equal to or less than your attribute is a success. If you roll even better, if you roll a dice that rolls equal to or less than your skill score is a critical success, which scores 2 successes instead of 1. And so ultimately you add up all of your successes, and so long as your successes are greater than the test's difficulty, then you have passed. So extra successes can become a point of momentum. If you do roll a 20, then that becomes a complication, which of course makes things potentially a little bit harder in the future. Now, this game introduces spirit, or I think it does. I don't think we've seen spirit in the other 2D20 systems. Can you remember?
I don't think so.
Yeah, momentum and threat always seem to be present in the 2D20 games. Spirit seems to be new. And basically, spirit is the character's inner reserves of concentration and stamina that allows them to push themselves extra. So you can spend spirit to buy additional d20s to roll on tests, or to re-roll dice that failed. You can also spend spirit to avoid injuries or other consequences during an action scene. So spirit is a bit of the player character bonus, isn't it?
Yeah.
And again, I think it is new for the fact of this kind of makes the game, I'm not going to say easier, but it makes it a little bit easier. Yeah, it means that your character can push themselves a little bit further.
It's a little hand-holdy.
Yes, exactly, which is not a bad thing, right? So I think this is the new sort of element to it for this particular system. Now, scenes, understanding a scene within the game, I think we've kind of experienced that with quite a few sort of games, but this sets up this notion of truths. What did you get from understanding about the truths?
I'm gonna bring up. It reminded me of oh my god, I just had the name of the game.
And is it the game that you referred to before that you were thinking about?
Yes, it is.
I thought so. Because when I got to this point, that was the game I instantly thought of.
Yeah.
Do you want me to put you out of your misery?
Oh my gosh. Yes, please. Please put me out of my misery.
And we'll have to find out now to see if we were on the same wavelength. I thought of Numenera.
Yes. Yes, thank you. That's what it is. I'm like, it's the one that has. I'm like,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So the way that the truth. So this is how when I read through it, this is how I understood it. Is a truth is something that if it's actually there, it is something until the moment it's not. So, for example, if it was a smoke-filled room, then that is what is actually in place. And that being the case, it would increase, potentially if you were in combat, it would increase the difficulty of shooting somebody beyond the smoke because your vision is hampered. So it's a way of informing for the Games Master and the players of saying, okay, this is now an added difficulty to this situation. Of course, if the player was able to remove the smoke and this is now a clear room, then of course the difficulty would go down. Is that how you sort of read it?
Yeah, and it was, it was very how do you say it? It explained your environment without the DM having to come up with those explanations for you.
Yes, I near enough felt it was a little bit like, and again, it does point out this on this truths on the fly and truths front and center. I felt it was, with some card games where they have keywords, and it's the keywords that sort of change the environment or change the situation. And
yes,
and you could effectively say, okay, we're in this scene, and here you could have a deck of words that you could put down in front. All of these words are valid at this moment in time until situations alter to take them away or to change what they are. So, for example, the room could be dark, but the moment you light a lamp, the room is illuminated. So whereas dark would have been a negative, now the illumination of the room means that it's not necessarily a positive, but there's no negative in play. So it breaks it up into 4 elements: location truth, situation truth, personal truth, and an equipment truth. So just because I think this is worth just taking a little bit of time on this. So location truth is some fact or detail about the location itself. A scene should probably have at least one location truth, a simple description of what the location is, such as an old road or a quiet tavern, dense forest or similar. And these truths will exist for as long as the location does. Characters are affected by location truths when they interact with the location itself. So there we go, a dark room. So we already automatically know that there is a negative because we cannot see in this room. What can the players then do to get rid of that negative? Here we go. A situation truth describes something that's happening in the scene. Noticeable weather like heavy rain or thick fog, or some circumstantial fact or presence in the scene, bustling crowds or heavy traffic. Situation truths, they affect any character in the scene, but they can often be changed through character actions. Personal truths describe the nature or state of a character or creature. So in some cases this may be some innate and permanent quality, such as the species of an animal or being, which defines how the creature interacts with the world. So your character could have maybe they are athletic. And that being the case, it could be a truth for, say, that you want to do some climbing, because being athletic means that you you're more nimble, more dexterous, and climbing up this tree is going to be easier for you. Whereas somebody who is not athletic is going to find that same task harder. And that's why I sort of, when I was reasoning this is how I thought of Numenera. It's a similar sort of word-based mechanic, yeah?
And this is what also lended to the feeling of like very handholdy, because it is making you more aware of like what you can do without you having to think too much about it. Like if you get a scripture, okay, you go into a dark room. Okay, so by putting that in your face like that, it's like, okay, you're telling your players, guess what? If you want to do anything, you're going to have to turn on a light. So here, I'm telling you, it's a dark room.
Yeah. Which is great, right? I've definitely appreciated this. Again, coming at it from a new player, there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's great. Again, so here we go. An equipment truth describes a single item, object, or tool. They're permanent so long as the function of the truth exists and can be passed between characters. An equipment truth affects the character using the item to perform some appropriate activity. So there you go. You could have a dark room and you could have a torch, or so that would nullify the effect of a dark room. Or maybe if, say, for example, you wanted to scale the side of a large ruin, because of course these truths will affect the actual difficulty of the task that you're rolling against. So maybe the large ruin, it requires 3 successes, but if you are athletic and are good at climbing, you can knock that down to 2 successes. If you have climbing equipment, you knock it down again to get 1 success. And that's why I thought of Numenera when I was reading this. It felt like a similar sort of process of bringing the level of difficulty either higher or lower depending on word elements. And I really enjoyed that. I thought, hey, I kind of understand this right from reading. So it does talk about then permission and difficulty. Because a character has equipment truth, and because I am personal truth, because the situation is situation truth, the action is easier. The truth reduces the test's difficulty or lets the action succeed without a test. The action is possible. The truth lets the character attempt the action. Or the action is harder. The truth increases the test's difficulty or requires a test when one wouldn't normally be needed. Or the action is impossible. The truth prevents any attempts to perform the action. And that's, again, it's helping the GM determine and to be able to inform then the players what's possible, and then they're able to conversely go, okay, I've got these elements, that's what I'm going to use to overcome that test and make that test easier for me to achieve it. So I really like this.
And I want to be clear, like hand-holding, me saying hand-holding, not a bad thing. It's actually a very good thing because it does help stop questions like, oh, can I do this? And the GM going, well, you can try, because if you just paid attention, you'll understand, like, what you can and cannot do based off of your descriptive words that they're using, the truths that they're using.
Yeah. Again,
so it's very, very useful.
Yeah, this is when it talks about truths on the fly. I guess that would be just when the GM is just describing and all the clues are within the sort of description, aren't they? Whereas we've just been talking about truths front and center. So it's near enough, here's all the key words, and you can mechanically go through and go, okay, I got to nullify that keyword, so I'm going to put this piece of equipment, my positive truth against that negative situational truth, cancels it out. And this is how I'm now making the situation easier for myself. So there's two ways that you can play it. But yes, I really like this. I think this is very, very cool. Okay, so we go on to action and skill tests, which again is it's essentially what we've just described before with the 2d20s. And here we go. So testing the difficulty. So we've talked about the truths will either increase or decrease the difficulty level. So a 0 difficulty means that it's easy. You don't need any test really. You can open a slightly stuck door or researching a wildly known subject. Whereas a difficulty 1 is routine. It requires overcoming a simple lock. So it requires a little bit of skill on there. Difficulty 2 is average. So you're overcoming a complex lock. We always talk about locked doors, don't we? Difficulty 3 is it's challenging. Overcoming a complex lock in a hurry. Difficulty 4 is difficult, so overcoming a complex lock in a hurry without the proper tools. And difficulty 5, daunting, overcoming a complex lock in a hurry without the proper tools and in the middle of a battle. so that's the grading, isn't it?
You know which game this also reminds me of is the film noir one we did, the black and white one. Yeah. Yes,
it does, doesn't it? Yes, I'm trying to think of the name now.
Yep.
Oh. No, I can't think of the name. Gosh, wow, that was like near the beginning of the year, wasn't it? But I know exactly what I'm referring to.
I see the elements in it.
Yeah. Okay, so complications. Again, if you're familiar with the 2d20, then you'll know all about that. It basically is whenever you roll a 20, it causes a complication. The games master can use it to add to their threats, which means that they can do more things to make situations harder for you. The opposite to that is when you get additional successes, then you can turn those into momentum, to which players can use momentum in positive ways. They can gain a second wind, or create a truth, or ask the GM questions, reduce time, or do a follow-up. Recovering spirit. So we identified that spirit is a way of a bit of a bonus for the characters. And so you must rest in order to recover your spirit. And there are different allocations of time will determine how much spirit you are able to regenerate. So taking a quick breather will regain 2 spirit points, whereas having a break for at least an hour or so gives you 4, whereas going to bed will regain you 6. Okay. Conflict. Just going through various attacks. Injury and defeat. So we get on. I am sort of skipping past this here because I want to sort of focus in on creating characters, because I actually created a character at the weekend. You can see my really bad scrawled writing here, but I found the character creation pretty easy, but I had questions by the end of it. So let's take a look, because we've already sort of touched on the factions a little bit. So basically, we have our attributes, and each attribute rating normally from 6 to 16, with 8 to 10 representing average capabilities. So what's going to happen? Our attributes are might, quickness, insight, and resolve. We then have a selection of skills, which are fight, move, operate, sneak, study, survive, and talk. And then characters have a tech level. This determines at what level of understanding of sort of technology they have, because it is a barrier to certain types of tech, depending on their knowledge and use. So essentially, creating a character is literally 4 points. Select a single origin, select an archetype, choose a temperament, and then there are some finishing touches. So it's essentially a double-page spread. We have a nice piece of artwork, so we get a sort of visual impression of our type of character. And you would just work your way through the list here. Tells you about what truth you get, your attributes, your skills, and it has these on here. So this is actually just going through as a summary, but each of these actually have it set up. So you got your truth, your attributes, your skills, your tech level, your spirit, supply points, and any special abilities. And then from your special abilities, it gives you a bit of a description just on the side here, and you take however many it tells you to take there. So did you, when you were going through the different character origins, and again, this is so different to anything we've done before. There is only the 5. So we have the Everon, the Dreamer, the Archivist, the Spear, and River. Which were you most interested in being?
The Dreamer.
Was it?
Yes.
Okay. What appealed you to be the Dreamer?
I don't know. I liked the idea that they want like a balance between the two, and it's not just one side or the other. They want both. They want to work towards that.
Okay, that's interesting. I went for the River. in my character. So I went for the sort of the merchant, the one who's a little bit of tinkering with technology, trying to get a good price. Typically liked by most because you're traveling from village to village with your wares. So I thought that was quite good. I like the special ability of being a haggler. so I thought that was quite cool. And again,
Just wanted to be a Jawa.
yes, exactly. Yes. But again, we're talking about all the nice little notes that you find where Carrie has edited her personality into this book, which is great. So, okay, so first of all we have an origin. Then, to give our character a little bit more depth, we have to choose an archetype. So we have fixers, gatherers, and I thought the archetypes were a bit easier to sort of understand. Grabbers, a guardian, a mediator. There you go, got it. I know. I was suddenly going, what? Because I was looking at medicine. I was thinking medicine. I'm thinking that's not a medicine they're dealing with, but a mediator it would be. Tech. So there you go. Okay. So you went for a dreamer. Ooh. I wonder. Did you choose an archetype? What do you
think it would have been?
I'm wondering if it's a grabber. Or am I off the mark? What did you go for?
Just by one page.
So it's either a gatherer or a guardian. So it's got to be gatherer in that case then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So somebody who does go out into the wild and collects and finds and discovers items, which would be really handy because what did I go for? Let me just double check. Yes, I think I went for the obvious one. With my river, I went for a fixer.
Yep.
So somebody who could tweak the items that we've discovered, ready for sale. I like this idea of having all these items inside my my jacket. I thought that was quite cool.
We just made a good team without even realizing it.
Yes. And it makes perfect sense. We've got a little bit of a story sort of forming here because, of course, we might be going out in the world, finding old technology, not quite understanding what it is, but, you know, maybe dusting it off a little bit, seeing how we can use it to work in the new world. And then, of course, I'm trying to get a good price for it, which keeps a roof over our heads. Now, so the final sort of stages, so we've done our origin, we've done our archetype, we have to pick a temperament. There's a selection of 6 here: circumspect, conspicuous, demonstrative, stubborn, manipulative, and maverick. Did you pick one of these?
I wasn't sure what to go with. I was stuck on 2. I was stuck on Maverick and Stubborn.
Oh, okay. I went with I took my character a little bit darker and I went to manipulative.
Oh, good.
So, yeah. It was being all so positive to start off with, and then it's like, yeah, okay. And then, oh well, there you go. Carrie, she's going for I'm going to be a maverick.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Yep.
And then finally, we have to work out our spirit pool, we'll work out our supply points, and then select bonds. We have a number of bonds to other characters, and this can either be as a supportive bond or as a rivalry between the two. Now,
definitely supportive.
yes. Now, that is, in essence, is character creation. There is nothing more to it. But what I noticed is that there's no example of a completed character sheet. And there were a couple of elements that you get to take from both your origin and your archetype, and I wasn't sure, well, where do they go on the character sheet? And it would have been useful to actually have an example of one filled out.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing that I felt was kind of missing. And given that my sense of the game is for newcomers, it's like, okay, maybe there needs to be an example to show a newcomer where everything is once it's all done. So that was just a little bit okay, and I'm gonna have to wait and see until there actually is a character sheet that somebody else has filled out for me to double check and go, all right, I can see where everything's supposed to go. The other thing, and I don't know what you felt on this, but, and I'm just going to put it out generally, how old do you think your characters are?
Ooh.
Did you question your age at any time?
Like late teens. That's what I'm thinking.
Because we do have characters that are depicted as older, but for some reason, I always felt that the characters were younger. Is that just me, or?
No, well, that's why I was like, I feel like she's like, 17, 18.
Yeah. I was, young adult age, I would have,
yeah.
I felt throughout, given also, the way that the graphic design has been done on this, I always had the impression.
Yeah, and I think it's also because of like the journaling, right? Like,
yeah,
adults don't do that, right? So.
Yes, maybe, yeah. It's just it's never stated. There's no point where it says what is your character's age. There's no game mechanic behind it. But I just always felt that your character is possibly young adult, and I felt that it possibly fit with the sort of the setting, in that maybe the adults, their sense of adventure is no longer there, and that young people who possibly have been told all the time, you're not allowed to go there, don't go here, be safe, and there's a little bit of youthful rebellion within them. And that's the kind of image that it created for me, even though there is nothing necessarily that points in that direction. Good evening, Roger. So with these types of games, I usually think of characters are young, upper teens, early 20s. Yeah, that's kind of the feeling I got from it. There is a point where you can have advanced archetypes with a variety of ones there, but that's for later on. We do have then equipment and trade, because I can imagine our characters would spend a fair bit of time actually discovering items. Long lost items, not quite sure what they're for, but turning them into useful items in this new world. And of course, some of these are sort of ordinary items, as in, a combat sword, but we do, as you can see, we have. This looks like a shock prod, maybe? Or a barbed javelin, as it says there. Is that what it is? Let's have a look. Must be on one of the other tables, but there's a whole variety. I mean, we've got crossbows. We have we do have pistols. We have EMP grenades and mines. So there's a whole variety of futuristic and more sort of analog weaponry to choose from. And again, no, see, now this is where I like all of the pictures. So again, the game is very graphical, isn't it? There can be a lot of games where everything's just stats and tables, but it is great that they include all this original art in there. Different armors, different suits and clothing. All very, very colourful, which is great. Different equipment, climbing gear, med kit, a covert cloak. I gotta admit, the person who did all the graphic design on this must have had an absolute ball, you know. It's like, okay, we've got some white space here, let's fill it up and just put some little scribbles in just to we don't want any white space, do we? We want everything, something in everywhere.
Yeah, they really said, hey, we want to minimize the blank space, go for it. And he went, ha, hold my beer.
It is awesome, yeah.
It's
so plenty of equipment. Look at this cake. Ooh, this looks yummy. So this is your food. We have vehicles. And again, we have all manner of futuristic vehicles. So they do have some technology that is working fine. You know, it's a really interesting blend. We got a little bit of fantasy, a little bit of, as I say, sort of Stone Age feeling. Then we got this hyper technology as well. So this I thought was again an interesting take. Glyphs and weaving, and I think I'm right in saying that this is a futuristic version of magic, isn't it?
yes.
Yeah.
That's how I took it, at least.
So, as it says here, the world is littered with glyphs. In a world before, they were a common sight, scattered around cities and other places where machines worked, providing simple directions, instructions, and other basic information to machines as they went about their assigned tasks. So basically, QR codes. The graphic layer instruction format was designed to shape the machine's perception of the world, programmed into them so that deeply that a machine could not ignore them. An environment might have glyphs that old machines, which routines they were permitted to take, and which places they should go. So we have some of these patterns, and basically, we got it here. This is a stylus, and your character marks out a glyph using a wand. And this of course can control the machines. So this one here, quite an easy one. This is attract. So upon seeing the glyph, the machine attempts to move to within a few meters of the marked object or person. And it's a nice heart. This is discharge. Upon seeing the glyph, the machine safely discharges its power tools and weapons, preventing them from being used until they are recharged. So again, I love this. I think this is quite cool. This is it's a nice way of reimagining magic in this world. I like it.
Yeah, I was a fan of this big time. And I don't know why it surpassed some of the other games we've done, but it definitely did. Like, Vastin has been my top one. And And then this one, I think this one might be next. Oh, but Old Gods. It might be tied or just under Old Gods because I really, really like Old Gods too.
Yeah. So right at the end of the book here, we do have a example of play using Carrie as the character. And pretty much it goes through everything we've just read about, giving a little bit of examples. And then finally, at the back of the book, we have a quick reference about tests and complications, types of exhaustion, resting and truths, uses for your momentum, and for spending threat, and for spending spirit. And that's it. That gets us through the book. That was essentially 210 pages. We do have, of course, at the absolute back, we have the character sheet. And we have a helpful map of the local area. So what we'll do is we will jump to the Games Master toolkit. And I'm just going to put that down here. There we go. Now, I found this. So let's... So we have a GM screen, which has this wonderful artwork. I think you can see that clearly enough, can't you? Featuring the art from the two books. So it gives us an idea. It's very dark. So maybe is this the dark city of rumor?
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay. But I think it's because I don't actually have that many GM screens. But when I looked at this, I thought, this is really useful. Because, hey, everything we've gone through here, it's all here. And if it's not part of this, then actually it's something that you can read about, but it's secondary. This is obviously all the most important points. And again, using the same really neat graphic design layout of all these little bits of paper, scraps, all stuck together. So I actually find this very, very handy, that now I've gone through the book and have a reasonable understanding. Here are now all the rules for me to focus in on and just make sure, did I actually understand that? Yes, okay. I've got that one down. So I actually found that quite useful.
I love a good GM screen. Love them. The Vassin one is stunning, and again, all the useful information that you need is right there.
See, this is where I probably need to get some more. I don't have. I think I have maybe 2 or 3, but this is the first one I actually jumped at me going, that is actually really, really useful. And it's helped my understanding as well, which is great. Make sure I put it back correctly. There we go. It's that and that. And no, that. There we go. Okay. So, now... I only had a quick look. Hello, is that QVAM? So have you had the opportunity to try this game either online or in a local shop? Not as yet. As I was explaining just a bit earlier, the only thing I managed to do is actually create a character. That's as far as I've got so far. But as we've been discovering, very much looking forward to having a play in the near future. Hopefully that's something I can do over Christmas. We've just been looking through the player guide. We did look through the starter set. This is the Game Master's Toolkit. So this is exploration. Now, none of this is featured in the GM book. So this is unique to the toolkit, adding another dimension to the game. And from what I understand, I mean, Dreams and Machines is something that MODIPHIUS is going to be putting a lot of time and energy into going forward. So this is just the start. So as it says here, going forth into the wilderness is what adventurers of Dreams and Machines do. Vast reaches of untamed or formerly tamed land open before them, and they seek to discover what the land has to offer. So this section offers advice and some possible directions for exploration-based games to take by building the wilderness and ruins of Evera Prime into a site of and source of adventure. And ultimately we have all the rules here for basically exploring beyond what the initial missions within the player's guide and the games master's guide there. But we have a little map which was featured in the back of the player guide there. And just to sort of point out just how much space we've got to explore, the beginning starter set characters are in New Musgrove. And New Musgrove is just this little village just here. So there's all of this area for you to go and explore. And obviously we have various points of interest, but there is nothing to say that there is not other things to be found, possibly underground. I mean, it talks about this 9 up here. This is the nuked city of Castile, which doesn't bode well, does it?
No, I mean, what could? No, it's fine. What could possibly go wrong there? It's fine.
Yeah.
Fine.
What's down here?
It's
7.
fine.
The Deep Woods Archive. And we have, again, there's just little graphical elements here. There's a little opening into this mountainous area here. There's well, 23. Oh, there we go. It's the canal tunnel. Canal tunnel. Maybe, but it looks like a mech. There's actually, when you zoom on in, you can see there are mechs dotted around, which of course, hopefully they are slumbering.
Did you just say when you zoom on in?
Yes, as in when you look closer. it's because I'm thinking of it like a video game near enough, because it looks just like it. You guys can zoom on in. I just have to put my head closer to it. Okay. So, I mean, we've got everything here. Now, here we go. So we get to, which is what I always like, is we got roll tables. There's quite a few. Regional random encounters. So what do we have? Let's have a look in. We got encounter types. We have events, obstacles, crossing paths, a discovery, or a resource. We got some subtypes there. But that was okay. So we go. So an event encounter, we can have a weather shift, a nearby fight, strangeness, or a moment of stillness. Obstacles, end of the road, winding road, unremarkable terrain, hostile terrain. Crossing paths, wow, a whole variety of different encounters you might have. Anything from ancient machines or mutated creatures to traders or a spear war camp. Encounters, discoveries, we have a hideout or ancient ruins, a place of power or lost artifacts. And then we have resources, a hunting ground, or a safe haven, or an abandoned mine. So these can be found on any, I guess, of the hexes there. Just be able to, the GM can quickly roll something up. This is what the players discover as they are exploring.
It's so cool. And it's very helpful too, because again, if you have done any kind of DMing, you can look at it and go, I don't know, I don't have an idea. So having something that will help you with that, so handy.
Yeah. And then simply a table here for weather, which is of course very handy indeed. So,
and not something everyone thinks of.
No. So I like that. I opened it up this evening, had a quick flick through. So that's something I definitely want to sit down and take more of a look in. But this, I actually possibly spent quite a bit of my time looking through the scenario generator, because this just jumps straight on into lots of roll tables, which is great. So yes, let's create a scenario. So we have the opening scene. So we have, I don't know, we could have an isolated farmhouse. So we basically have a setting and then we have a descriptor. So we have a farmhouse or an underground tunnel system or a spaceport. And then we have to have a descriptor to it. It could be an claustrophobic town market, or it could be an eerie old factory, or a infested spaceport. Who knows what it's infested with?
That's the fun bit. Scary bit.
So we could then roll up for some NPCs. We got some dreamers or some spears or some archivists, or maybe it's an active machine. We can then find out about the temperament of those that we meet. Hooks and draws. We got a plot hook. Maybe we are talking to a old friend, or a struggling grabber, or a successful farmer who has asked us for help, or they are looking for a place to settle, or has had a freak accident. And then we jump onto the plot. What's the plot? They are trying to identify a traitor, or maybe establish a new trade agreement with the local rivers. But what's their motivation? Ooh. Their motivation might be political power, or they might have some rumors for us to investigate. And then we have an antagonist. It's maybe a dogged bounty hunter, or a river who's turned pirate. I like that one. That's for me straight away. Whose trait could have a ruthless nature, or they delight in cruelty, or they have a strict follower of a moral code.
Lots of choices, lots of decisions.
Yeah, no, I mean, I do fully appreciate the love of a good roll table these days. They are brilliant. They really are great. And as you can see, there is actually a lot. This entire book is full of these roll tables. So this alone, despite the fact that we've got an awesome GM screen and you've got rules for exploring out into the wilderness, I'd get it for this alone, because I just love these. So, you know, creating a location, various buildings, types of atmosphere, building types, and of course you could use this then in conjunction with the exploration, can't you?
Yep, absolutely.
And so ultimately it gives you a bit of a summary here for you to just guide you through the process of what you need to roll when, and then you've got everything you need. So yeah, I really like this. I think that is a lot of fun. And then to sort of finish it off, there is a number of character sheets that can be used by your players. Of course, this is on really, really nice quality paper. So So that is the Games Master's toolkit. Again, I think that's really, really cool. QVAM, books look so beautiful and full of nice illustrations. Oh, absolutely. Let's do a quick flick through the Game Master's Guide, real quick, but just to appreciate a little bit more some of the wonderful pieces of art and the design. Again, I feel for some reason I feel that this particular game, I think I don't want to spoil anything because I think part of the beauty of this game is discovering it in so much as a player, because it is unique. You're entering a world that you've really got no idea about, and so there will be an element of wonderment. And I feel that if your characters were leaving their village and exploring, that's kind of how you want to feel, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
You know, the GM can have a lot of fun exploring and helping the players sort of visualize this new world. But again, it reiterates going into a little bit more detail than what's in the player handbook, even though there does seem to be a little bit of crossover on it, because it's important for the players to have some understanding, and then for the GM to have that bit more, because it is a brand new world for them to go through. But here we go. We have, now this is, oh gosh, I'm never going to be able to say the name, am I? The continent of Ned Restia. Let's go with
Sounds
that.
about right.
I'm gonna go with that. Okay, but I'm trying to find, because we had the local map, and I want to sort of find where we are in the greater continent. I'm getting that sort of Westeros sort of vibe of a continent that's all sort of straight down. Yeah, we got ice at the top, ice at the bottom. So it will be part of, I know the name of our village. Where's our village? Let's see if it's mentioned in part of these little descriptions. Not jumping out at me. It goes through obviously all of the history. We already touched upon slightly the various factions. And this goes into a little bit more detail. I wonder, because Modiphius do make a range of miniatures, certainly for their Star Trek and their Fallout games, I wonder if they will be making miniatures for this. Because again, they would be very original looking characters.
Oh, yeah, they would be, wouldn't they?
Yeah. I'm skipping past this. It might have talked about the Dark City, but we're going to skip right past it. So we get into... There's a lot of lore in this part of the book. We then get into Games Master Guidance. Master of Games, says Carrie. And so, again, helping a Games Master, certainly, as we say, a new Games Master, understand how to run the game. And I think we've already skipped past the truths. I did think it's an interesting concept. I really like that. Of course, making sure that everybody is happy around the table. And then non-player characters, building a variety of NPCs, and having lots of examples here. And then we start to bring in some of the flora, fauna, and mutant creatures. Well, we're going to go right past that one. Oh, that's even worse. Many legs.
I'm so glad that my Twitch took that exact moment to say network error. Oh, yeah. It was perfect.
we don't need to see these bits. So we got a lot of animals there, but we have some tech and then various people. We have some wakers, which are the large, well, mechs of various sizes and various means. So we can have industrial mechs, civil security mechs, military combat, military support. And then looking at their condition. And so here we go. This is exploring around New Musgrove and the surrounding environment. So the region of Regis Castile. Ah, okay. Yes, because we said Castile was up at the top, wasn't it? And New Musgrove was just in the middle here. So maybe that's what I needed to look for on that larger continent map is Regis and Castile. All right, I'll go back to that maybe. But this goes through and looks at all of the points of interest, giving us a little bit of detail. And again, what's great about this, of course, is that all of the settlements, we've got a whole variety of different styles to them, depending on the different sort of factions that are inhabiting that area. But everything's just very colourful. I like this utopia.
For now.
For now.
Like it for now.
Yes. And so we do have, again, another mission at the back of the book. And just so we don't ruin anything. Yeah. We have a variety of handouts, which are all wonderfully produced. And then we have quick reference, which we've seen obviously as part of the GM screen. And ultimately, right at the back, we have our character sheet as well. So that was a very, very quick flick through. And as you saw in the starter pack, you can get yourself a set of 5 D20 dice, which is this wonderful fuchsia colour, where the character, the numbers do pop out quite nicely. So they're very nice as well. So there we go. That's basically an overview of everything that is currently available for Dreams and Machines. So, I think we like this one, don't we?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. We will, as a future show, we will spend a time actually creating some characters and actually looking at the characters in a little bit more detail. Because I think it's a very easy system to create a character for. And I think that'll be quite good fun. But thanks to MODIPHIUS, I have... Oh, moving it across. Oh, I have a giveaway. And it's a weighty giveaway. We've got a set of dice. There is another copy of the Quick Start Guide. But there then is the Player Guide, the Games Master Guide, and the Games Master's Toolkit. Alright, so this is an awesome starting set of everything you need.
No kidding.
To play Dreams and Machines. If you are new to the channel, exclamation giveaway. That is only on the Twitch side, but if somebody could just type that on in, we'll get that going in the text. All right, so those are the T's and C's. There we go. I'm letting everybody who is watching the stream right now get on in the action first. So exclamation dreams. That will give you the link for you to basically join in onto the giveaway. There we go.
Sorry, Keith. I keep jumping in before he does.
So, well, good luck. I think it's an awesome bundle of stuff, and I hope that you're as excited about the game as I am. Like I say, I will be reading up more of this over Christmas. I think this is going to be a great read to discover this new world of Evera Prime. I guess that pretty much brings us to an end then, doesn't it?
I think so, and I think anybody who decides to pick up this book, you won't regret it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Again, I'm certainly appreciating that it's maybe a slightly easier system to sit down to read and to get it into. I actually don't think that's a negative at all. I really appreciate it.
No.
So, yeah, I'm going to look forward, and I think also is I will learn from this that will make other 2D20 games easier for me. So
yeah,
there's definite benefits for this particular game, and it's also really nice to be right at the start. As I say, this is a game that they are going to have just launched. There are obviously many years of materials worth that they can bring into this game, and I've seen how much they've done for their Fallout and for their Star Trek based game. So yeah, the future is great for where this game may go. So something to definitely look forward to.
Lots of growth.
Yes, yeah, indeed, yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
Now we have spoken about making characters. And that's actually what we are going to be doing on Thursday evening.
Yeah.
So with that, we are going to be it's going to be another sci-fi based game. We are going to be creating characters within Coriolis, the Third Horizon from Free League Publishing. This is going to be a lot of fun. I am very much excited to do this with you guys, because this is going to be a group effort, because we have to design our spaceship that we will all be on board. So yes, no, it's going to be great. So if you want to take part,
this is going to be Monkey's favorite one.
Well, I've already created a character, so I already have a good idea of where that will go. But for the spaceship, we're going to do that all together. So we're all going to have a little bit input into the spaceship, which is going to be great. You do need to make sure that you have downloaded both the character sheet and the spaceship sheet. So exclamation Discord. Go to the roleplay game section. Both of the PDFs are there. Alternately, there is a link on the Free League website. If you actually go to Coriolis, the Third Horizon, you can go to their download section, and you can find the appropriate sheets there for you to download and print out. So this is going to be the character creation and starship creation on Thursday night from 7 GMT. Yes, I am very much looking forward to it.
It's gonna be so much fun.
It is. It is. It's well, for regulars, we kind of already have a reasonable understanding of what we need to do because we've encountered it before. The starship part of it is going to be new and unique, but again, it's very, very easy. We just have to make some decisions as a group. So that's going to be the fun part. Right, well, there we go. Thank you, Mystical, for joining me tonight. Look forward to, catching up with you on Thursday when we're going to make ourselves some characters, eh?
Yeah, thank you for having me, and I will see you Thursday.
All right, thanks so much. Bye for now, then.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so there we go. Thanks to Mystical for joining us tonight we've taken a look at Dreams and Machines from MODIPHIUS Entertainment. Good luck, everybody, with the giveaway. Our thanks to MODIPHIUS for providing the prize there. I hope you enjoyed looking through the books, and you'll join us on Thursday to create some characters. But until then, bye for now.